Traders, how are you? Marcello, founder of the Day Trading Academy, co-founder of Speed Up Trader. Today, we're going to be talking about, are we walking into another 2008 crisis? So in today's recap, there was something really interesting that happened, not last week, but the previous week, which related to a fund called Archegos Capital, $20 billion hedge fund, just 20 billion in forced sales due to the fact that they were pushed to liquidate. So we're with all the other things going on, right? We now have a situation where we might have another 2008. Now remember, 1999-ish dot-com boom, there was a fund that collapsed. It's called long-term capital management. The central banks of the world, not central banks, but the U.S. central bank organized the bailout with Wall Street, which means banks, other hedge funds, banks in Europe even, and they bailed out this fund because it was so integrated into the system. So essentially, hedge fund collapsed, Wall Street bailed it out. 2008, 2009, Wall Street collapsed. The governments of the world bailed it out. Now we have a situation where the debt is getting so large, right? I've talked to you guys a lot about how we have the situation where Bush added a certain amount of debt to the system. Then Obama in 8 years added even more than him. Obama in 8 years added more debt to the federal government than any other president in the U.S. combined. Then Trump comes in and in 4 years almost adds the same amount of debt as Obama in 4 years. And remember, Obama was more than every other president combined in history. And then now we have the Biden administration, which with the infrastructure package, the stimulus, among other things, he's probably going to do more than Trump and Obama in his first term. So walking in a very precarious situation here, and there was a video that I did on the Spanish side that I haven't done on the English side talking about the dollar collapse, because essentially there was a debt issuance of the U.S. government where nobody wanted it, so they had to jack up the interest rates, and that's why we're starting to see the interest rates go up now, partly because of that. So if you guys want me to do that video, let me know. So because of this hedge fund pushed to liquidate, Monday the markets were mixed. We had a lot of situation where there's a little bit of uneasiness in the street. And so the markets overall on Monday were mixed, especially with the worry of how many banks are actually exposed, right? Because if this hedge fund goes bankrupt, then how many banks are going to get hit on the back end? Other than that, Tuesday was lower. Wednesday the market was mixed. S&P 500 for the first time hit 4,000. On Thursday, as the market closed higher on Thursday. And then the U.S. stocks for the week, the Dow, remember Friday was a holiday, Good Friday. Dow was up 0.24%, S&P 500 was up 1.14%. NASDAQ was up 2.59%. And then the overseas market, generally higher in Europe as well, with the German DAX getting a new peak at 15,000 on Thursday. They were the best performing stock in Europe at 2.42%, other than Istanbul, even though Istanbul is more of an emerging market. They're a little bit more volatile. Other than that, the Eurozone factories seeing their fastest pace in growth since the survey started in 24 years in history. So that's a good thing. But France did announce that they were going to have another 1 month lockdown. Remember that Texas, I believe it was Alabama as well, removed all of their lockdowns, no mask mandates, everything can be at 100%, and their cases actually went down since that order went through from Governor Abbott, which is actually interesting. Latin American, Canadian markets, overall, they were higher. The biggest winner in that market was the Socialist Republic of Argentina at 3.31%. They always get really mad when I say that. Canada was up 1.11%. And then Africa and the Middle East, Egypt, the biggest loser at negative 2.89%. And the biggest winner being Saudi Arabia at 5.07%. Asia and Australian markets, the Kospi in South Korea, biggest winner, 2.36%, and then Indonesia, the biggest loser at 3.06% negative. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency news, we had really good news this week on Monday. It was up 3% after Visa is reporting to get involved with accepting payments with a USD coin, not Bitcoin per se, but an actual USD coin. For example, USDT or USDC, they're considered alternative coins. Tuesday was up another 2% when PayPal huge 2 million, millions of online merchants. They're saying now that they're going to allow holders to use and hold cryptocurrency to pay for their purchases. But UBS, which is a huge bank, their wealth management division, they're saying that they're unconvinced that Bitcoin is going to be a currency due to the fact that it's volatile. And they're saying that it's not different than any other previously speculative bubbles due to the fact that it really has a very limited use. Talking about cryptocurrency, they're saying, and that it makes for a poor investment. Tell that to all the people that bought at $1, UBS. Coinbase, the largest U.S. crypto exchange, is going live. Live isn't the right word. They're going public for the first time in a so-called public direct listing. They were approved by the SEC, so they're going to start trading on the NASDAQ on April 14th if you guys are interested in investing in that. And Bitcoin for the week was down 4.98%. It closed at about 58,816. That was as of Friday, so it's gone up and down a little bit since then. In commodities, oil refining capacity in China has nearly tripled since 2000, and they're now expected to be, according to the International Energy Agency, the largest refiner of oil in the world. This is big news because it's going to probably put other refineries, for example, like Singapore and South Korea, which rely on a lot of exports, they're going to have a lot of pressure. And then smaller ones that come from Philippines and Australia that lack the size, bigger is better because of economies of scale, they're most likely going to close as China continues to take over the world. Oil fell the most in a week as France announced that it was going to issue a new 1-month lockdown. That was on Wednesday, but overall for the week it did recover. U.S. crude was up 0.70% at 61.45, where international Brent was up 0.44% at 64.86. And on Tuesday, in regards to precious metals, this is really interesting. Alex Mooney, which is a Republican senator from West Virginia, introduced a bill saying that he wants oil and silver to be tax-free. So essentially, Arizona already passed a law saying that they removed all capital gains from silver and gold since 2017. And Idaho is most likely to be next. And now he's instituted this bill, which is HR 2284, called Monetary Metals Tax Neutrality Act. They're saying that all taxes, anything that has to do with gains and profits when it comes to gold and silver, even coins, for example, they want to make that completely free of taxes. So that would actually be great. You guys know, if you guys have been following me for a while, I'm really big into the silver, especially the silver coins and things like that. Other than that, for the week, gold was down 0.17% to 1,731, while silver was down 0.43% to $25.02. I got back into some of the miners. I think I asked this last week, but there was a video that I uploaded, I believe it was in February of 2020, in relation to the analysis of the silver market. It was a great presentation because I'm mainly investing in silver right now, but not that you have to, right? Remember, I'm not a trading advisor. It's for educational purposes only. Make sure you do your research because I don't want you to go out and invest some money and blame me for it, all right? But I'm really heavy into silver right now, even physical. I just bought some of the miners that I bought. So if you guys want me to do that video about the silver miners, let me know. I'll upload it, and then I'll upload that previous one as well that I did last year. In financial and banking news, Japan-based Nomura and Credit Suisse is facing billions of dollars in losses and regulatory scrutiny after the collapse of the fund that I told you about, Archegos Capital. They defaulted on a lot of the derivative bets. And if you guys remember, Warren Buffett has also talked about years ago how the derivatives aren't good for the economy due to the leverage and the system that it's built on. So that's interesting as well, seeing that it's actually starting to happen again. We didn't learn anything from 2008. We just kind of repeat and recycle, make it 10 times bigger. The yield on the benchmark 10-year note is expected to jump as well. On Tuesday, it jumped to 1.772 to a 14th month high. The 30-year Treasury bond rose to 2.456%. This has to do to the fact that, we're having a lot more vaccinations for the coronavirus, in addition to the news of Biden's new $3 to $4 trillion infrastructure package. They are saying that they're going to raise taxes on all of us, Remember, Biden did say that he wasn't going to raise taxes on people making less than $400,000, and now it looks like that's the case, especially since he's also considering raising taxes on corporations to the previous percentage, which was 28%, which was lowered from the Trump tax cuts at 21%. Other than that, U.S. business groups and lawmakers are pushing President Biden to raise fuel taxes, gas prices. That's why California, for example, has $4 gas prices, while us in Florida only have about $2, $2.50. That's a joke. If any of you guys are watching from California, I'd be interested to know how much your taxes are, or actually not taxes, how much you're paying for gas per gallon. So just put it there in the comments and I'll have a look. So due to the fact that the United States has some of the lowest taxes on fuel in the world, they're saying that this is a way to be able to increase the tax base to help with the infrastructure spending for the package that Biden wants to pass. But it's a little bit risky because obviously that's a tax on everybody. Remember that the stuff that you buy at the store, the way that everything is shipped around the world, once it gets to the land in the United States, is via trucking. So gas goes up, you're paying more for everything, not counting the fact that there's already inflation. I was at the store. I just want to tell you guys this quick story because I want to know if some of you guys are seeing it too in the stores. The same sausages that I bought for $2 and $6 is now $2 for $7. The bag of chips that I used to buy went up by 20%. So even though the government is saying that the inflation rate is really only 2-3%, I think it's more like 15-20%. And I even saw people sharing on social media at Costco how the labels for the prices wasn't a fixed price anymore. It was by weight. So we are going to get hit really hard. And there's a way to be able to counteract that, right? I wanted to be able to do a video about the best investments in 2021 because you got to invest in things that are going to be an inflation hedge because inflation is coming big time. Wood, for example, in one of these recaps, I told you guys about how if you're going to build a new house, there's a $24,000 in extra expenses due to the increase in wood prices this year alone. Other than that, political news, China is finalizing its sweeping overhaul of Hong Kong's electoral system on Tuesday. Obviously, this is to be able to consider to continue to take over the massively important financial hub. If I'm not mistaken, they're the 5th largest financial center in the world. In economic news, private employers in March hired a surge of 517,000 employees in the month of March, after rising 176,000 in February. We are, however, still short 8 million jobs from where we were at before the pandemic hit. We did add 916,000 jobs, and the unemployment rate fell to 6% in March. But again, we're still missing a lot of jobs out there. So I hope you guys are taking care of yourself. Or you can listen to me. I've been telling you to learn how to trade for years. You wouldn't have to worry about a job because you'd be making money in the markets. They didn't close the stock market, did they? Other than that, the manufacturing data indicates that the March ISM, which is the manufacturing data, went up to a near high 38-year high. It went to 60.8% in February to 64.7% in March. I know a lot of these numbers don't mean much to you. You guys don't understand how to read them, but essentially a reading over 50 indicates expansion. And this is important because it's about 11.9% of the U.S. economy. Corporate news, Tesla reported Q1 deliveries of 184,000, which is a new record. That's great news. The only bad news was that they had very, very little sales of the Model X's and the Model S SUVs. Most of them were Model Ys and Model 3s. And Model Y sales began in China in January. So that's good news for them as well. Virgin Galactic is going to they want to plan to start sending tourists into space in 2022. In technology news, they unveiled a new spacecraft to be able to go ahead and have new technology that's going to allow them to go up and down easier. But if you have a few $100,000, just go up into space and finally nail the debate of whether the Earth is flat or not. In investment news, the Suez Canal is once free again after they got rid of the Evergreen ship that was stranded on the side of the canal there that got stuck. 6 days that it was blocked, but even Maersk, which is the huge shipping giant, states that there's still going to be a lot of disruptions over the next weeks and months due to the fact that it's going to take a while to be able to sort everything out. Thursday, the Fed appeals court rejected New York's attempt to be able to hold 5 major oil companies liable to help them address the cost of climate change. The Second U.S. District Court of Appeals stated that the regulation of greenhouse gas emissions, however, should be on a federal law and international treaty level, not on the state level. International events, the political and social chaos in Myanmar continues after 140 people were killed in one day. A lot of neighbors are alarmed by the crisis, and since February 1st, they've been in this situation. There's a huge buildup. We haven't seen it in the mainstream news. I saw it on some of these kind of alternative social media sites. Ukraine is accusing Russia of building up armed forces near its border, and we're talking about thousands and thousands of tanks. And Russia's top diplomat stated that the relations with the U.S. and its allies have hit rock bottom. If you guys remember that Biden did an interview that when they asked him if they thought that Putin was a killer, Biden said that he did think Putin was a killer, and that didn't go over very well. So we'll see how that turns out. But I think it's pretty serious what's happening in Ukraine, even though the media actually isn't reporting it. And then unusual facts, asteroid 2001 FO32, say that 3 times fast, as the largest rock that has passed by Earth so far this year at about 1.25 miles away, about 2 million kilometers or so. Made its closest approach. It's not a threat to Earth, but it gave astronomers the ability to be able to study the beginning of the solar system. And other than that, global rise in sea level from 1900 to 2000 was more than twice the average from year 0 to 1800. And that was the fastest in 2,000 years, they're reporting. And other than that, and some of the natural disasters, I remember I told you guys last week I was going to start reporting a little bit more of those. South Dakota firefighters are fighting a blaze in the Black Hills, which forced a brief closure of Mount Rushmore. But now they're saying that they have more than 50% contained. I don't know if you guys are noticing, but we're getting hit at every angle. It was Texas and the fires last year, the fires in the Amazon and hurricanes and typhoons. I think all of this is going to get a lot worse. I think we're going to have a lot of economic problems. We're going to have a lot of social problems. I also think we're going to have a lot of environmental problems over the next 10 years. So become a prepper. Before the zombies come, become a prepper. Other than that, guys, that's all the news for this week. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next week.